Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining this session today. In today's session, we would discuss, the different things that you have to take care of, things that you should know while applying to universities for your master's degrees. First, let me communicate the information that I want to communicate, and after that, we will have a Q&A session at the end to address your queries. So, in the initial portion, just let me get done with the information that I want to communicate. If you type your questions in the chat while I'm speaking, I will not be able to take those questions. All right. Okay. So the first question is, what are the admissions criteria? When you apply to universities, what are the things that universities consider before giving you an admission or before rejecting your application? So the first segment is the standardized test, either the GRE or the GMAT, depending on what kind of program you are applying for. There are some universities, especially non-US universities, where you can apply without GRE or GMAT. Okay, so if you want to apply to UK, Canada, Australia, etc., so there would be universities. There are quite a few universities where you don't have to take the GRE or the GMAT. Okay, but in the US, almost all the good universities you would need to take either the GRE or the GMAT. Then the language test, it is mandatory for you to take a language test, either the TOEFL or IELTS, because you are Indians are not considered to be native English speakers. So if you are an Indian passport holder, or if you are from Nepal or UAE or any other non-native English speaking country, you would need to take a language test, either the TOEFL or the IELTS. You don't have to write both. Okay. So first you have to decide which country you want to apply to, and then it will be clear which of these exams you have to take. But these are the exam requirements. As I mentioned, in non-US countries, in a lot of the non-US countries, you may not need to take the GRE or the GMAT, right? But the language test, you have to take in almost all the countries. Your academic record, the next thing that universities look at is your academic record. Academic record, your 10th and 12th grades, they don't matter. So universities look at only your bachelor's degree and whatever you have done other than the bachelor's degree. So if you have a master's degree, for instance, if you have a postgraduate diploma, if you have done some certification courses, right? So all of those would come under your academic category. So universities, they look at your exam scores, the GRE GMAT score, and the academic record as one component. Okay, so if you feel that your academic record is not as strong as you would want it to be, then you can make up for it with a high GRE or GMAT score, right? Alternatively, if your academic record, is if you think that your academic record is not that good, if you have lots of backlogs, then we recommend that you take the GRE or GMAT. Okay, because then you can showcase your academic ability. One of these things, has to be strong. You cannot go back in the past and change your academic record too much, but you can definitely get a higher score on the GRE or the GMAT. If you do not get a good score in the first attempt, you can take it again. Okay, so yes, so good news is that universities look at both, these two things, together. So you can make up for a poor academic record with a or with a good GRE or GMAT score. And when universities look at, your college percentage, so it's not just they look at the aggregate of whatever semesters you have till the point of applying. So if you apply with with when you have the marks of your 6 semesters, then the aggregate of your 6 semesters is what university is going to look at, not individual year wise. uh, so if you are applying for management programs, either MBA or MIM or any kind of management programs, then your extracurricular activities become very important. Your sports activities, your hobbies, so they become very important if you apply for management oriented degrees. On the other hand, if you want to apply for MS and PhD, right? Then the research work profile becomes very important, especially if you're looking for scholarships, right? So again, the this if you are applying for MS and PhD degrees, for instance, then your extracurricular activities don't matter much. MS and PhD degrees are academic degrees, so the academic, how you have done in your academics, or what kind of research you have done, that's far more important than your extracurricular activities. So we have had students with zero extracurricular activities also getting in, admission in top colleges for PhDs, MS, etc. If your academics are good, your scores are good, and your research profile is good. Letters of recommendation. So whether you apply for management degrees or pure MS and PhD degrees, you would need to submit 2 to 3 letters of recommendation, and they have to be taken from your college, right? Essays and SOPs. SOP stands for statement of purpose. So essays and SOP is the next piece of information that you have to submit, as a part of your online application form. Then in some of the courses, there may be some interviews also, especially for management related programs. So MBA, MIM, and some of the PhD courses, there may be an interview as well, right? So these are the admissions criteria. Based on these, the universities would decide whether to give you admission or whether to reject your application. Okay. Now, the strategy when you apply for MS degrees or PhD degrees or MBA degrees, the strategy is that what the admissions committee what they are looking for. So you have to now look at which of these things you have to strengthen. You have to first assess your own profile. Which of these things you lack, or what are the things that are weak in your profile. See, letters of recommendation and SOPs and all. So these you can easily improve because they are yet to come. You will be writing these as a part of your application process. So they are yet to come. Interview also, it will come as a last stage. So these things, no, these things of course you will do well because they are yet to come. They have not happened yet. But the other things, so you have to look at these 4 items and make up your mind about what are the things that individually you lack, right? You yourself, what are the weak points in your profile, and then start working on them. So for instance, now research work, if you are looking at scholarships, those of you who want scholarships, so for the research work component is extremely important. Now, what comes under research work, right? Projects that you may have done as a part of your bachelor's and master's degrees, paper presentations and publications is very important. If you have any of these, it's really good. Some engineering students, they do industrial training, as a part of their degree. So if you have done industrial training, then you can present it as research work. So when you are writing your statement of purpose, talk about the industrial training, in the format that it's a research experience. Participations in seminars, conferences, paper presentation competitions, even at the college or department level. Now, participation does not mean that you just sat and listened. Participation means that you have actually presented, that you were an active participant, not just in the audience. Participation in activities of academic societies. So a lot of the, especially the engineering colleges, they would have these societies, IEEE, CSE, or for mechanical engineering, IIB. So there are these societies depending on your departments, right? So if you have taken active participation in the activities of these societies in school, I'm in college, so that would also go count as research work. And if nothing else, if you don't have any of these, no, these are the things that you have either done or not done. Projects, you cannot do it like in now 1 month, right? So if you have not done anything till now, right, and you are applying for the fall 2021 session, your deadlines are going to be in the next 2 3 months. So the last thing, or the absolute minimum that you can do is have a technical blog. Now, the meaning of technical blog is that you have a blog. Either you can make a blog either in Blogspot, either in Blogspot or WordPress. You make a blog, and then put up whatever your project reports are, whatever your industrial training reports are. Now, if you can put them up, in the blog. So basically, you have a blog where you have technical writings. So this is the bare minimum that you can do, for research work. Okay. So those of you who have not done anything of these items, not done any of these items, and you are applying for the fall 2021 session, I strongly recommend that you at least do this. Those of you who are still in your second year, third year, great. It's good to start early. So make sure that you have some of these things as a part of your research profile. Now, in terms of enhancements, right? So, what are the things that you can do to again strengthen your chances, improve your chances of admissions and scholarship? So, if you have poor academic background, or if you're applying for programs other than your own, for instance, let's say that your bachelor's degree is in mechanical engineering, but now you want to apply for manufacturing engineering, or you want to apply for financial engineering. If you want to apply for programs that are different from your bachelor's degree programs, then you should take online courses that are offered by platforms such as Coursera, edX. I'm sure you may have heard of those. So if you go to Coursera, if you go to edX, explore the courses, take courses offered by top universities, take courses relevant to your programs or the program that you're applying for, and get good grades. Take the paid versions of those courses, not the free versions. You can also opt for short term certifications. For instance, again, let's say you have a bachelor's degree in computer science, but now you want to apply for masters in finance or masters in financial engineering. Then, doing a short, 3 to 6 month certification course in NSC certifications or any kind of certifications would definitely help your chances. Right. So if your academic background is strong, even then, doing a couple of online courses, from top universities, it will only help your case. It was not going to harm. So if your academic background is poor, that means if you have backlogs, etc., then these are the online courses are strongly recommended. Online courses from top universities, not just random online courses. And I'm sure you guys know the platforms Coursera and edX. You can check them out. edX is a very common platform, right? So and if you're as I said, if your background academic background is good, still doing courses offered by top universities is not going to hurt your case. It's in fact going to be helpful, right? So online platforms such as Coursera and edX. Okay. Moving on. Now, when you take your letters of recommendations, you have to be very, it to be very careful in the sense that you should know that everybody's letters of recommendation are good. That is the definition of letters of recommendation. Even somebody who is academically very poor or whose GRE score is very low, they are also going to get letters of recommendation which are going to say good things about them. Everybody's letters of recommendations are good. So you have to choose your recommenders wisely. You know, if 2 to 3 letters of recommendations are to be taken, take letters of recommendation from project guides for sure. Engineering students, you will be doing or you may have done a final year degree project. Definitely take one letter of recommendation from that guide. If you have done multiple projects, then take multiple, then take a letters of recommendation from both the project guides. Okay. If you have done an internship or industrial training that was like research, where you did research, then you can take a letter of recommendation from that guide as well. Okay. Next is that you can take it from your professors. But when you choose your professors, sometimes we see students that they take letters of recommendation from professors in whose courses, in whose subjects they have not scored very highly. So that does not make sense. So you should not take letters of recommendation from professors in whose subjects you have not scored well. So take letters of recommendation from only those professors in whose courses you have scored highly, because that makes sense, right? If you are a working professional, if you have any work experience, then you can take one letter of recommendation from your supervisor as well, your boss. Okay, so this is only for working professionals. If you are not a if you are a student, then project guides and professors, stick to them. The next thing is the SOP. Now, SOP, again, very important document. You have to write it well. You have to make sure that there are no grammatical or spelling mistakes. You have to spend quite some time in writing the drafts, editing them, etc. In all the universities that you apply, you will be required to submit at least one statement of purpose or an essay, minimum one, right? So make sure that you spend enough time on the statement of purpose. So now, what is the meaning of a good SOP? So basically, a good SOP, after reading your statement of purpose, the admissions committee members, they should get answers to these questions. First of all, what degree do you want to pursue? Do you have the adequate academic background to pursue that degree? So this is where you should talk about the different electives you may have taken as a part of your bachelor's degree, the projects, the industrial trainings, all of this, right? So you have to talk about this, and this portion is actually about 3 to 4 paragraphs, and will be the majority of your SOP anyway. The next part that you have to address is that why are you applying to that particular university? Very often I get students who apply to 5 6 universities with exactly the same statement of purpose. So that's not a good idea, right? For every university you have to change this paragraph at least. This is usually the second last paragraph, and you have to customize it depending on which university you are applying to. So don't apply to 5 6 universities with exactly the same SOP. Take some effort and make changes to this paragraph, this second last paragraph. Add information about that specific university. Then the last thing, that your last paragraph of your statement of purpose should cover your USPs. What are the things about you that set you apart from your peer group? What are your strengths, right? What are your unique points? How are you different, right? So this is the customization part. Okay. And even the same students with similar GRE scores, similar projects, similar profile, they will have different things, different strengths, to talk about. So you can talk about your strengths, whatever is strong in your profile. So you should definitely cover that. You have to give the university some reasons to give you an admission offer beyond the numbers, right? So the university already will have your academic grades, GRE scores, but what else do you want to talk about yourself as a person? What are your strengths? What are your career goals? So all of these things, it can be a short paragraph of about 3 to 4 lines. That's perfectly fine. But this is something where you have to talk about you as a person, not just you in numbers. Okay, the rest of your application is anyway going to do that. Okay, so while writing your when so that's the strategy that you have to follow. That look at each point separately. What are the weak things in your profile, and then spend time to strengthen it. So if your academics are weak, then spend time to strengthen that. If your research profile is weak, then make a start with a technical blog, right? Put up your project report there, etc. And when you start working on your online application, then spend enough time on your SOP and letters of recommendation to make sure that at least in that portion you are putting your best foot forward. So that's all I wanted to communicate from my end. Once again, if any of you wants a demo class of GRE GMAT or a profile evaluation session, you can leave the number in the chat along with the city that you are from. And I'll be if you have any questions, I will be happy to address your questions. You can either raise your hand, and I can give you mic access. I'll be happy to answer your questions. If you have any questions, raise your hand. I'll give you mic access. Those of you who don't have any questions, please feel free to log out. All the best. Good luck with your applications, etc. And wish you a very happy new year in advance. So those of you who do not have any questions, please feel free to leave. All right, Chirag Rathi, what is your question?
Ma'am, you actually mentioned that LORs are totally academic oriented. You never talked about professional LORs. In case my academic LORs are not strong, and since my academic is not strong, so can I only provide my professional LORs?
How many years of work experience do you have?
I have 1 year of experience after my completion of my MBA, but I was working meanwhile, even when my MBA was going, though it was a full time course.
Right. See, I didn't say that you have to do only academic hours. What I said is that
Mhm.
the maximum weightage is given to academic hours. So what you should do is that your like one letter of recommendation you can take from your supervisors, and two you should manage from your academics, either from your MBA under, or maybe as a part of your MBA you may have done an internship also, right? So you can take it from
Mhm.
that supervisor as well. That would come
Okay.
under academics only.
Internship under the supervisor or whom I was working under.
Whom you were working under.
Okay, all right. And secondly, you talked about the courses from Coursera and edX. What about Udemy courses? If I've done course
Udemy
from
courses
Udemy,
are not usually offered by universities. See, the
right?
when you choose any online course, you have to. It's more than the content of the course. You have to focus on the brand name of the university that is offering it.
Uh-huh. Right. Okay. Okay, that's all for my doubts.
All right. Thanks, Chirag.
Thank you.
Shikha Reddy, what's your question?
Hi, ma'am. I have a very lame question at this point of time because I'm still in my third year, but I'm trying to figure out what I really want to do ahead. So, depending on what you said right now, my extracurricular profile is like very strong. I have done a lot of stuff since my childhood and even in college, but I want to go for a research-oriented program. And in that matter, my academic record is pretty good, but the research work that you mentioned, I haven't really worked on that part. So, what do you suggest about that?
Okay, first question, third year of what? What is your bachelor's degree in?
Bachelor's in computer science.
Okay, so you have got one more year left, right?
But I'll be applying in my fourth year itself.
Yeah, of course, everybody applies in fourth year, but
Yeah.
you will be going into your fourth year in Augustish, right?
Right, right. That's like
Right,
almost,
right, right,
yeah.
right. So, see, as a part of your engineering degree, you will anyway be doing a final year project. So that
Right.
would go into your research project. But I don't know which college you are from. You should talk to some of the senior faculty, and in at least the good colleges, the professors, they do research, right? So you can actually get in touch with the faculty of your college and see if you can work with them on some of the projects that they may be working in. So that's what the that's an easy way for somebody to build up their research work profile. Which college are you from?
Ma'am, I'm from Army Institute of Technology, Pune.
That's a decent college. There, just check out check out the senior professors at least. If anybody, I mean, if they publish, if they do any publishing work, etc., then
Yes,
ask
ma'am, they do.
ask them whether you can help them out with their research, research projects, etc., and request them. If you can be a second author or third author on any of their papers, that would really add a lot of value.
Right, ma'am. Ma'am, another question regarding the same. Ma'am, the projects that we really do in college, like I have done a couple of them, but I'm not really sure whether they're really up to the standard that the universities expect. So, how do I evaluate the work that I've done based on what college I'm applying to?
See, universities there, they're not expecting any, like, say, if it is a really groundbreaking research, very few students have that. Okay, so how they assess the quality is that, is it published work? You know, if you have done, so that is the highest level of research. If you have been able to write it in a paper and publish it in some international journal, so that is considered to be the highest level, obviously. But otherwise, also, if you are not able to do that, that the very fact that you have done projects shows that you can do independent research, and that itself is a good thing.
Okay, ma'am. And ma'am, do work experience like matter? I mean, like your internships and everything, like your industry internships, not the
What
research.
is your bachelor's degree? What kind of what master's degree are you going to apply for?
Ma'am, I want to, right now, I have not really decided about that, but somewhere in the field of research only. I've not really decided the
Then
field.
work experience would not, say if you want to apply for MS Computer Science, MS Mechanical Engineering, I mean related to technical side, then the work experience is not required. But if you want to go for MBA, that kind of master's degrees, then yes, your internships and work experience would matter.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. That should be
All
it.
right.
Thank you so
All
much.
right. Nandini Mahesh, what's your question? Nandini Mahesh, you can unmute yourself. Hello, Nandini Mahesh.
Ma'am, I'm already preparing for GRE with Jamboree only. So what is this profile evaluation session you were talking about, ma'am?
So here you can, so in Jamboree, we have an admissions counseling division also. You may know that where we help students with their applications, etc. So in the profile evaluation session, you can have a conversation with an admissions counselor to understand, for your profile, what is the GRE score that you should be targeting, or if there is a like particular university that you have in mind, then what should you be doing to make your chances better. So that's the meaning of profile evaluation session.
Okay, so where can I get that?
Which city are you studying in? Which city are you in?
Bangalore. Bangalore.
Which center did you enroll in?
Jayanagar Center.
Jayanagar, right? So you can either get in touch with Surya or Namrata. Who did you speak to?
Namrata, ma'am.
Yeah, just let Namrata know. She will set it up for you.
Okay, and one more thing. See, I'm a 2020 recently passed out, okay, from engineering.
Your voice is cracking. Say it again. I didn't hear
Ma'am,
you.
recently passed out in the year 2020 only. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you now. You passed out
Yeah.
in 2020. Yep.
Yeah, so suppose if I start, I mean, like if I give my GRE by Feb or something, I'm planning to go. If I'm not getting a good, I mean, like if I'm not able to go through for the 2021 fall only, then I'm planning to go for 2022 fall at any cost.
But not spring. I mean,
Uh,
you can go for fall 2021, or you can go for spring 2022 also. You don't have to wait till fall 2022.
What they say is if you want to go for spring, no, they say all the universities won't open their application.
Nandini, your voice is cracking. I am not able to hear you.
Opened
So Nandini, I think there is some internet connectivity issue. But I think I'll ask Namrata to set up your call with an
It's saying
admissions
in the
counselor.
spring, if you want to go no, then only few universities will. Hello.
No, Nandini, your voice.
Applications. I mean. Okay, ma'am. Okay.
All right. Okay. Venkesh Agarwal, what's your question?
Yeah, ma'am. So I have like 2-3 questions right now in my second year of engineering, and I've already started with my prep and joined
Can you
Jambo.
speak a little louder, Venkesh?
Hello.
Yeah, can you speak slightly louder?
Now is it fine?
Yeah, yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm in my second year of engineering right now, and I'm going to join a Jamboree soon for the GRE prep. I've already started with my self prep, and I'm going to give the GRE next year. So actually, my goal is for masters in engineering management. So, like, what is the work experience required for that? I wanted to know.
It's not mandatory. There are programs, actually there are a lot of programs where work experience is not mandatory for engineering management also.
Okay. And another thing I wanted to ask is, can you tell me the major differences of taking admission in USA and Canada?
Yeah, first of all, in the US, you have got a lot more university options. In Canada, there are about 5 to 6 good universities where after doing an MBA or doing a master's degree from there, you will end up with good jobs, right? So in terms of options, it's a US has more options. In terms of admissions requirement, one advantage is that in Canada you don't have to take GRE, but then your entire admissions will be based on your bachelor's degree percentage. So if you have a strong academic record in your bachelor's degree and you end up getting a good TOEFL or IELTS score, then in Canada, you can get admission. I mean, the GRE is not a requirement, but in the US, you have to take the GRE also. So these are some of the differences.
Okay, so GRE is not at all considered, like I'm targeting a University of Ottawa and University of Alberta.
No, GRE, you don't need GRE for these, but your academic
My
record has to be strong.
Yeah, my profile is like decent enough for now. Like all the parameters that you just mentioned, I have them all, including research work, internships, projects. Everything is going to be there in my profile. So my academic profile is solid enough.
Sure,
So
sure. Just make sure that your bachelor's degree grades are good, because
uh,
wherever
my
GRE is
grades
not required.
currently are 9.9 CGPA.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good enough.
Okay. So when can I get a profile evaluation?
Have you left your number in the chat?
Yeah, I have left the number in the chat.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
from
Then
Pune.
probably in the next 2 3 days.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
All right. Okay.
thank you.
Thanks, Venkesh. Vishnu Vardhan.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Right now, I am in third year, ma'am. Like you were saying about the aggregate percentage for a good background, right? Academic background. Like how much that aggregate percentage they will be expecting from us, ma'am?
See, that varies from college to college and program to program. So universities, instead of
My
expecting an
my
aggregate, they
my
see,
interest of program
percentage.
is
No, no. Universities want to know what percentage of. I mean, are you in the top 5% of your class? So they are more interested in your class rank. Where you are, top 5%, top 10%, and the quality of your bachelor's degree college. So these are the two things that universities would be looking at.
okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Vibhuti. Hello.
Hello, ma'am.
Uh, yes,
Hello.
I can hear you.
I got 282 in GRE and I want to admission in MS. It is possible to get admission in MS
MS in which program, Vibhuti?
in IT program, information technology.
So there are college options that you can you can get in. So, but we would like to know more about your academics, etc. Have you left your number in the chat? Vibhuti, can you leave your number in the chat?
CGPI and I have 4 backlog in first year and second year.
But nothing. But they are cleared, right?
Yes, now it's clear.
So, have you left your number in the chat, Vibhuti? So, if you have, then I'll have some one of my admissions team members to call you and check out the rest of the details also, so that we can give you some college options. And because you have already taken the GRE, so it will be possible for us to send out the applications also in the next couple of weeks. And sooner you apply, the better are your chances of admission anyway, right?
But in 282 admission is given or not?
Think is given, of course. I mean, with 280, obviously, not in a top 20, top 30 college, obviously, but there are lots of colleges where you can get admission. Lots of good colleges, at least for computer science and IT. There are college options in California, New York, New Jersey, Texas, etc. Good colleges where jobs are abundant. So there will be options that you can apply to and get admission.
But I will, but I check in website of college that must be required to 300 of score in GRE. So I am worried about that.
Which college, which university do you have in mind?
Chicago, in Chicago, something South. I exactly not know about the name, but I searching Google.
In Chicago, there are lots of colleges. You have got you've got IIT Chicago, you have got University of Chicago, you have got University of Illinois Chicago. There are lots of colleges. So the as I say, the top 30 30-40 colleges, obviously it will be difficult to get admission, but there are colleges, and we'll have to look at what are your marks, etc., which college you have studied from. So we have to do a deeper analysis. But we have had students in the past who have gotten admission with lower scores as well.
Can you please tell me how much maximum score required for GRE for MS admission?
In which college?
In any college, just want to
That is
admission in MS.
See, I understand. I mean, uh, see, if you want to get into an MIT, Harvard kind of college, then even with 340 out of 340, you may get rejection. But there are colleges, like for example, if you want to go, like California State University Northridge, for instance, right? So you can get with your 280 also. So there are, depending on the college, the GRE requirement changes. Is that
And I have completed my bachelor in 2080, so I have 2 year gap.
gap
For
or what
admission?
Vibhuti, I see that you have left your number, so we'll have a detailed discussion with you, right? So because we'll probably have to know something more specific about you as well. Someone from our team will get in touch with you. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Alia, what's your question?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask, I'm currently pursuing bachelor's in BSc Biotech Research. So I wanted to know, do you need any specific long work experience if I want to apply for MS PhD in USA?
In biotech?
Yeah, I'm doing BSc Biotech Research.
No, I mean your bachelor, for the master's also, you want to stick to biotech only?
Yeah, actually I wanted to do biotech with entrepreneurship, something like that.
Okay, so work experience is not required for master's and PhD.
Oh, okay. But you need a lot of research experience, right?
Yeah, that would be if you're applying for a PhD oriented master's degree, then yes. If you can get a couple of publications, it would be useful. So
Okay.
which college are you doing your bachelor's degree from?
Ma'am, I'm doing from Shiv Nadar in Delhi.
Oh yeah. So Shiv Nadar, they do have these opportunities. I see we get lots of students from Shiv Nadar, so they do publishing also. So if you can get a couple of publications, then that will definitely help your case.
Ma'am, I wanted to understand, like a college also provides the minor degree. So, like, does minor hold a lot of significant value?
Not really.
It's not like colleges don't really focus on that, right?
No. For masters, no. See, let's say you have a major in biotech and a minor in business, and now you want to go for business, then yes, it will help. But if you want to stick to your major only, then the minor, is not that important.
Okay. Ma'am, I wanted to ask, is TOEFL valid in Canada as well, the Canadian universities?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Devansh Bindish, what's your question?
Good evening, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So, ma'am, my question might be an off-topic question. So, the universities, I've been doing a bit research for selection of the universities. So, I came near the fact that the selection rate is bit low for many of the universities, the acceptance rate. So how do we go about that fact? I mean, I'm not talking about the top 5 or 10 universities. Other than those universities, some of them are having single digit acceptance rate, like about 9%, or if we talk about two digits, is about 12 to 13%. So how do we take that into account?
Some of the colleges, even though may not be a top 10, 15 college, as you have rightly said, some of the colleges are very popular, among international students, like a college such as Arizona State, for instance, right? Or NCSU, so it may not be a top 10, 15 college, the colleges in California, for instance. So wherever the job opportunities are a lot, so there the and people know that, so they receive a lot of applications. They receive a lot of applications, and therefore the acceptance rate is low. As you have said, it can range from 9 to 15%. That having said that, anyway, you would be hard pressed to find a university with acceptance rate of more than 25%. So 25% is the maximum anyway, 25 to 26%. So if you're applying to a college with like 9 to 12% acceptance rate, then the what you should do is that, you if your GRE score, the GRE score in that case plays a big role. If your GRE score is at least 10 points above their average, then your chances would definitely increase.
Okay, okay, ma'am. And ma'am, there's a bit issue I'm facing for the academic record, because in our university we are having the percentage system and not the percentile system. So I'm currently in fifth semester. So my aggregate till fourth semester is 8 CGPA. So do you find that, I mean, a baseline for the acceptance?
You will not be rejected based on that. And as I said, when you apply to universities, so I mean, they get lots of applications, from different parts of the world, where there are different grading systems. There are percentages, percentiles, CGPA out of 5, CGPA out of 10. So instead of looking at the raw numbers, so universities look at your class rank and the quality of college from where you are doing your bachelor's degree. So if these two things, they look at that, right? So even with an 8.8, if you're in the top 10% of your class, so that's good. no
Okay, okay, ma'am.
right, so we are almost out of time, so we'll take one more question. And if I have not been able to answer your questions, again, please leave your number in the chat. Our team will get in touch with you and address your questions, whatever questions you may have. Okay, so the last question, Srinitya, you can unmute yourself.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, Srinitya.
Ma'am, I'm pursuing my BTech third year currently. It's always a confusion between the fall and spring admissions. Like, what is the correct time to apply for the MS degree or any scholarships or anything like that?
So your MS, you'll be applying for MS in what?
Engineering, like IT.
IT. Okay. So it's a good question. So see, for fall, all the universities take students in the fall semester, right? In the spring semester, about 50% of universities take in new students, and for programs like mechanical engineering, etc., or IT, and also there are quite a few colleges that you will be open for spring as well. For hardcore MS in computer science, there are not many good options, in spring. So which program you are applying to also plays a role. For instance, the same university may take students in spring semester for mechanical engineering, but may not take students for computer science. Okay. As for scholarships, so this is a myth that that if you apply in spring, there will be fewer scholarships. That's not the case. Universities, if they get a profile good enough, they will give scholarships. So the only fact is that about 50% of the universities, for programs such as PhDs and MS computer science, they don't take in students in the spring. So if you have any particular university in mind, if you have like 5-6 universities that you really
Yes,
want to
ma'am,
go
I
to,
do have.
right, then check out whether they take students in spring or not. If they do take students in spring, then your chances of admission, chances of cost scholarship, that would not be impacted.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, and one more question. Like, I'm already done with my Jamboree GRE coaching and I'll be starting soon with the IELTS. So when can I start applying for these applications, ma'am?
Which center are you in?
South Zone, Hyderabad.
I mean, Begumpet or Madhapur?
Not sure, ma'am. I've registered
Okay, okay.
online.
All right, all right. So, so have you left your number in the chat?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And did you write Hyderabad?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. Then I'll. So in Hyderabad, did you speak to Amandeep or Amit? I'm not sure who you spoke to before enrolling.
Srujan, ma'am.
Oh, Shrujan, yeah. Take it, and it's Begumpet. So I'll ask Shrujan to then have a word with you.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, so that's all for now. Thanks everyone. Again, if I could not answer your questions, please leave your numbers in the chat. We'll get back to you. Everybody have a good weekend. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance.